Hello there. If you've been cutting and bulking since school, crying into your protein oats every time you hit a weight target because you're looking at the same soft rig in the mirror despite all your efforts, this video will run you through 3 mistakes that are trapping you in the same cycle that kept me unhappy with my physique for over a decade. I'm Charlie, a former dentist turned online coach, and I spent most of my life repeating this exact cycle. Cutting, bulking, but never really being happy with how I looked or felt despite all the effort I was putting in. It was only when I finally understood where I was going wrong that things finally changed for me. And now I help people break out of the same frustrating loop that kept me stuck for years. And if you want to break that cycle too, I've whipped up a quick 5-question assessment that will tell you exactly where you're at and where to focus on next. Links in the description, probably below. The first point to make is that scale weight alone can be quite misleading. You can weigh exactly the same number but look totally different. An example of that is in the thumbnail I use for this video. Often people get fixated on a scale weight, and really you should take that into consideration, but there's so much more that comes into it. Because if what you become focused on is this specific number, then it's no wonder that when you hit that number and you don't look how you want, you end up frustrated and feeling stuck. Whereas if you detach yourself from that and start thinking about, other things, your strength, how you're looking in the mirror, how you're feeling, then you start to see it as part of a bigger picture and can see why you might need to push a bit further than you thought. Second point kind of builds on from that, and it's that you probably need to lose more fat than you think before you start building. So I've kind of alluded to this already, but the problem with setting yourself an arbitrary target is that if that is short of where it should be, and in most cases people have underestimated it, so it is, they hit this target, think that they've done what they need to, and then end up frustrated that they've not got the result that they're after. Whereas the reality is, if you manage your expectations early, accept that you're probably going to have to lose a bit more than you thought you did in order to look how you wanted, then you're setting yourself up for success. The other benefit of that mindset is that you're giving yourself a longer runway for the gain phase, because fat loss is an inevitability when it comes to trying to increase your weight. It's going to happen as part of trying to build muscle and lean gaining. So the leaner you are to begin with, the greater margins you've got as you're building over time. And you can spend a bit more time in that surplus trying to build that lean muscle, rather than falling back into the trap of chopping and changing between cutting and bulking, as you have done probably for the last decade or two. And the last point just comes down to sequencing. The order that you do things is important in my opinion, at least when it comes down to minimizing frustration. For fat loss, I do generally just recommend ripping the plaster off and getting it done, because as a process it can be done pretty quickly. If it's done efficiently, you can be looking at 1% of your body weight lost per week, and that racks up rather fast. Whereas lean gaining, you're talking about 1% of your body weight per month. And that as a process obviously requires a lot more patience and can lead to frustration if you're not getting where you want to go. Whereas with the fat loss, you can see things quite quickly. So you can build the momentum early doors, give yourself a really good runway, and you've set yourself up for success moving into a gain phase. So don't waste another decade yo-yoing. Grab the assessment below and follow me on Instagram if you want more nutrition and training tips from someone who's been where you are and has come out the other side.